This is Mark Whitten.
This is Adam MacArthur.
This is Ann Yatko.
This is Molly Chung.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Yurchak.
This is Daquan Wilshire.
This is Lexi Nieto.
This is Rico Fajardo, and you're watching.
And you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
All right, so this is episode 157 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest, I have returning guest Chinhmong of the Clean Slate Productions and Josh Taube of the Blue View Cinema. So, funny story. I wanted to bring this up because we initially recorded this this episode, I think about almost 2 weeks prior, and then due to audio issues on my end, like my headset was my wire on my headset was touching the crap out of my my microphone arm, and so after like post production, I was editing and I was just like, screw this, man, I cannot go through this editing process. Asked them to re-record this episode, so here we are again, round two. If anyone is interested in round one of the Last of Us season 1 review, like our initial talk, I guess I can put that on a future Patreon or something like that. That way for followers who want to check that out, they can. But that's not important because right now The Last of Us is, if you have not watched this show yet, it is on HBO Max. The season ended about, I want to say now from this day's recording, about almost a month now.
Yeah, about that.
So it's been a while. So anyone who has not watched it yet, go watch it before we just spoil the hell out of this, because that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, The Last of Us was on HBO Max. It's based off a video game which I did not play. I know Josh and Chin played it. So let's just get right into it, man. So overall of the Last of Us show, I initially thought it was really well done. I love the cinematography. I love just how they pretty much showed the relationship between Joel and Ellie. But, there was just so much things going on. And I'm going to be bringing this up quite a bit in this episode because our last conversation we had, I was, kind of, I guess, Chin and Josh, like, shine some light on some things that I never noticed, which is why I love having them on the show. So there was things that you guys said that I realized, like, whoa, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be, or I mean, it wasn't terrible, but like after seeing some of those details that you guys kind of ironed out, I'm like, oh, okay, so that makes more sense now. So, Chin, we'll start with you, man. Like, what was your thoughts on the overall show for The Last of Us?
So for The Last of Us, I felt it was a good show. When you're looking at game adaptations, it was on the better end scale, but as a TV show, it could have been a great show, but they just left out a lot of the content from the game, which I understand. You're not trying to, I guess, do everything on the beaten path of the game, but I mean, you've got plenty to work with there, and I just felt as though if they were to, kind of stick to it a lot more, like they did the first episode. So the first episode, they tried to do that shot for shot. Now, if they tried to do that for every episode going forward, I think it would have been amazing, but they just kind of moseyed along really quickly to kind of get it done with. So it felt kind of rushed to me in my end, but it was okay. Could have been great, and I think they might have missed the mark a little bit on that.
And you, Josh, your thoughts on the overall show?
I mean, yeah, I think Chin says it pretty much right on. It's, for the most part, like there's a lot that I enjoyed. I mean, the budget was definitely there. Was the budget, well spent throughout? I don't know. I think some people got some pretty big bonuses at some parts, especially Pedro Pascal for laying on the floor for 3 episodes. But otherwise, I do think that, they did some incredible stuff. The first episode, I mean, that was a heck of a pilot. You had basically a feature-length movie in that, and seeing all the chaos, seeing all the destruction, the performances were on point. I mean, that was where I was like, okay, I think we lifted that video game curse, as they say. and finally we're seeing a true adaptation. So yeah, there are some things that overall could have been better, but in terms of like an adaptation show, it could have been way worse than what it was. It could have been, gosh, it could have been god awful. But because the original writer of the game and everything was involved, I mean, they were able to stay pretty close to the source material. But overall, like it is great. Like I think I ranked it like in the 7.5 range personally. So still a strong rating, still a not rotten tomato. I don't know what certified fresh, right? But it's no, it was great. It was great overall. But yeah, like Chin says, there's definitely some crucial aspects that I think were swept under the rug, or not expanded upon nearly as much as they could have.
Perfect. Yeah. Good thing you guys brought up the first episode because man, that first episode is what really drew me into not just like the length of the episode, but just how they did it, man. Cause like I said, I didn't play the game, so not knowing that it was shot for shot, pretty much similar to the game, and just like I think one scene that really stood out to a lot of fans was like when after like I guess like when the zombie apocalypse starts to happen, or the cordyceps starts to happen, when you see Pedro Pascal's character Joel drive his daughter and his brother out, and then you see like the burning farm or that farmhouse there, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so and so's house, and they compared it online to the video game, and it's like pretty much the same thing. And then you see like just how the whole city or the town was getting like torn apart, just people freaking out, like people driving out to the highway, driving off the highway to like on the grass, to the airplanes falling down. It was complete chaos. But I loved it, just seeing how like stressed out these characters were, and then seeing just seeing how Joel's character development starts in this first episode, man. Because they, at least for me, I thought that him and his daughter was going to make it out alive. Now, I didn't know that she was going to get shot like that in the first episode, and
surprise.
Yeah. which is good though. Like it's good to I like seeing stories like that start off really, like with a big shock, like big shock factor like that. But I did want to bring up this too. Like one scene that like really creeped me the hell out was when the grandmother, like the shot where they have the camera on the daughter, and then in the background you see like the grandma like flipping out or like turning to a cordyceps zombie. And man, that was like, I don't know, to me it felt like a horror movie at that point. It was just really eerie, and it was really cool because now you get to see, like, you saw that in the background with like blur, but then like as a viewer you get to see, you have to imagine that, oh man, that's what happened to her. That's why she's been so awkward or creepy in the house.
Yeah, see, if they, like, the first episode was great, and how Josh said it, after watching that first episode, I think we got this in the bag. I think this is going to be a great show, and the thing was, because they were really dedicated, like seeing that farmhouse and everything, they wanted to get every bit of it. And then as the show went on, it just fell apart on that end. Like, okay, we got them on the first episode, we'll throw in a couple clippers here and there, and then they'll be happy. And then we just kind of, move it along. And like I said in the last point, it felt like just bullet points, They were like, oh yeah, they meet this person here. Okay, let's just do that real quick, and then let's move on. Oh, they get into a car crash. Yeah, let's just have them get into a car crash, but they're not being creative about how they get into a car crash, or they're not trying to replicate the car crash from the game. And if you replicated the whole first episode like that, you could have just replicated the whole thing all the way through. And you know what? I would have said it was the greatest TV show in the world. I totally would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that that Josh brought up from our last recording, was that the whole interactive part, right? Seeing how the gamers experience the game versus how viewers experience the show, because it's two completely different things. When you play the game and interact as Joel or Ellie in the video game versus just watching the actors portray the characters. I know that there are like certain parts of the game where I think Josh brought up this too as well in the last recording, like how Joel was upside down at one point in the camera, and the camera angle was like upside down. So they didn't have that in the show so much to where like you can point out, oh man, this was in the game, you know, like, or this experience was in the game. It was more so like they just gave you the big parts or the big bites of the game in the show, and then you kind of like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's another cordyceps, or that's a boss, you know, and stuff like that. It was just, it wasn't really like showcasing I guess the action part of the show. It was more of the drama that they were portraying in the show. So
Right,
yeah,
you know,
like,
okay, go ahead.
So when they portrayed the big, you know, meaty cordyceps guy that crawls out from the ground, that's that's
bloater.
like the first, that's like the first boss fight, you know, that you get. And,
Yeah.
you know, I get it. You don't want them to just be like, okay, here's a boss fight, you know, but in the game they created a great way to where you had to fight them. You know, you weren't just running away. You were locked in there. You were trapped, and you were trying to find a way out. And you know, you had to fight it off as you were doing that. And that could have played very well into the TV show. I mean, you could have had a great intense scene. You know, same thing with the clickers. That clicker episode was great, and that's pretty much what happened in the game. You know, the way they moved and everything. I mean, you know, it felt like I was playing the game again when we were watching that clicker scene.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything else to add on to, Josh, about that? Just like the whole experience versus like playing the game versus the show?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, a video game experience is going to top a movie experience probably 90% of the time, because, you know, you're the one that's controlling the story. You're the one that's controlling, you know, the outcome and the interactions. So, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be very different of an experience. But no, yeah, I mean, there's just certain artistic choices that they made. And like you said about, you know, where Joel was upside down and he's shooting down these clickers and things like that. You know, seeing Bill, I mean, you saw pre-Bill in the show and you're seeing post-Bill in the game. I mean, two entirely different outcomes. So that alone is something to experience. And yeah, I mean, between the two of them, no, I think I'm always going to pick the game over the movie, just because one, it's a game. There's more to explore. There's more to see. But you know, it's the same as like when you're, you know, watching Harry Potter, and then the people that read the book are like, what the heck? Where's that scene? Where's this thing? Or, you know, things like that. Things are cut in a TV show. It's just, otherwise, you know, it would make for a boring TV show, though, if everything was kept in, because it's like, we don't need to see them. The part where Joel grabs gauze and scissors and all this stuff. We don't need to see all that, you know? So obviously those things are smart to leave out, but yeah, you're going to miss certain movie points. And I think it's going to just drag it on for longer than it needs to be if you were to include some pivotal moments. But on top of that, there are certain things that just kind of are a non-negotiable, I think, in terms of telling the story. And I think there's just certain moments that are really rich in the game that, you know, perhaps could have seen the light of day in the show.
Yeah, now that you bring that up too, because like with the storytelling or like the pacing of it in the show compared to the game, you know, just seeing like, for example, how Bill wasn't in the show after, you know, like, or at least the present time, right? They gave him a whole episode of just him and his partner, how they got together and how they lived together and then died together. But then in the game, Bill's still alive, you know, but he's a bit more rugged. He's kind of, you know, emotionless at one point, and you get to see the interaction between him and Ellie. But then we don't get that in the show too. So I know that a lot of viewers were kind of, or at least the gamers were kind of like somewhat upset, because they did want to see this iteration of Ellie meeting this iteration of Bill, but we didn't get that.
Yeah, see, I feel like they could have went about it a different way, because they wanted to give you that emotional kick, you know, with Bill and seeing how it affects, you know, as throughout the years of how the war's affected them. And, you know, he's isolated in his place, which is fine, but I feel like they could have done like flashbacks instead of doing one full episode of flashbacks. They could have had Bill be the crazy Bill, but then you flashback and you put stuff in there. So, you know, and then you put clips of what we saw from the episode in there while we're getting that action of them fighting these other, hunters or these other people, and therefore we get the action, and then you still get to give us the story beats and everything. And I think they might have thought that was too difficult or something, but Josh, you said it. They had a budget that through the roof, so they could have easily done it, And I just feel like
I know.
Again, they were like, let's do the easy way. We want to show this because it's gonna be great. It's gonna tug at the heartstrings, and let's move on to the next.
I
one.
was, and that's the thing I think I was disappointed about, because like I actually love the creative choice that they had with the whole love story with the two. I didn't think I would, but I do, and I would have loved to have seen where, spoiler alert, but I would have loved to have seen when they both drank the wine, that the wine actually didn't really affect Bill, and so that made him really like the way he is, because he's like, I wanted to die.
Yes.
I would have loved to have seen really that cool. Like, like he's just sitting there crying, and like, he couldn't, have the strength to kill himself, like with a gun or anything like that. Or just maybe they got like there the next day, and Bill's like lying on the ground, he's nursing him back to health. He's like, no, kill me. He's like, I'm not gonna kill you, dude. You didn't get bit. Like,
Yeah.
So that would have been great. And then you just see him like go through it, and then fine, if you wanted to kill him off or something, okay. But it just
he could still self-sacrifice at the end, and
exactly. He could have had a redemption,
and then you're all good, and then you got to kill him off at the end of the episode like you want to, instead of the weird way of going out like that, I don't know if they did it just to go like, we got one over on you gamers, didn't see that coming, and if you're trying to do this twist wow factor for me, I'm like, no, don't mess with it. There's a reason why, manga to anime works so well. There's no twists. You're ready. You're anticipating to see how it plays out in animation form, and it's great.
Yeah, I think having it be live action, it is different too, because there are probably things that I don't know. I'm just assuming here with what HBO did, that there could be some things that they, I guess, couldn't bring to life, if I'm saying this correctly. But I just, I enjoyed that episode. It was just like I would have liked to seen Bella Ramsey's Ellie meet this version of Bill. I just would have thought that would have been a really cool way to see, like, oh, how would they do this differently than in the game? Because Bella Ramsey's portrayal of Ellie is like we said before, is just she just doesn't look like Ellie. So and she's kind of more bratty, right? She's more aggressive versus like in the game. But I don't know. I probably would have just would have liked to seen that. So I guess we can go on to this next topic, man. Like, just seeing the portrayal of of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey's Joel and Ellie. What were your guys' thoughts on it? Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I wasn't sure about either of them, but I did like Pedro Pascal as Joel. Yes, I think ultimately they could have probably found, somebody who was even closer to Joel from the video game, but I'll take it. I think it's just, if you want to play things safe, you go with somebody like Pedro Pascal, because he's likable, he's popular, he's what's hot right now. Bella Ramsey, she's good. She's a good performer. But I don't know. I think they just wanted to go with a different type of choice. And I think what's annoying is, like, when these guys, they'll pick an actor and then they like defend them like hardcore, and they're like, you don't even know what kind of talent she's got, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, dude, at the end of the day, like, we expected these people to kind of, look like certain characters. And that's the thing too, is like Bella just kind of, I don't know. she's just kind of bratty, but like, it's, I don't know, like there was times where I felt like she was a little too bratty, and I'm like, okay, just can you chill out for like 2 seconds and just, where the Ellie from the game, she's kind of, has that, but there's still a little bit more of a maturity to her. I don't know. You can probably tell how excited I am about Bella Ramsey overall.
She kind of made me think of like a young South Park character where they learn how to swear. It's kind of like that. Like, hands up, you motherfucker! Like, give me what you got. It's that's what kind of drew me away. Like overall, I thought her acting was
Yeah.
great. Like her
Yeah.
acting, especially in the scene where she's after Joel got stabbed, she's like, Joel, I need you. Like that's where she sold me. It's just
Sure.
like I said, just like her. It took me a while to warm up to her acting or to just how they portrayed her because it's Lady Mormont. So like the whole time I'm seeing her, she's like, King of the North. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about like oh, that's Ellie from the game. So she had to like I guess just the way how they were writing it and portraying her character had to really. I don't know. Maybe it could be like more people than I think, but it had to really warm me up to just be like, okay, so that this is who Ellie is.
Yeah.
But Chin, what are your thoughts on both Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey?
Yeah, Josh kind of said it there. Pedro Pascal, I mean, it was like the safe bet. He's like, he was the Mandalorian, so got this guy. You guys gonna love him, and he did a good job. He did fine. I think they could. Can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there might have been someone else out there that would have looked more like Joel and probably did just the same, if not, better job. And then for Bella Ramsey, yeah, it didn't work for me. She, Ellie has such a specific look, and so I couldn't get past that point because I knew how she looked, and I'm like, you look nothing like her. And then the personality as well. It feels like she knew she was immune, so then she's no longer afraid of them, so she a lot of times it felt like I'm not taking this seriously, that's why I knew I automatically didn't like it when she was acting like she was like infected while they were talking about whether they should take her or not,
Oh, okay.
and that was like I was like no, I mean, you're in this post-apocalyptic world, you got all these guys, she's way too playful, way too joking, and I think there's just not enough seriousness in her until after the little boy ends up getting killed. Then she starts to turn around a little bit more, but up until that point I was like, no, I mean, cordyceps, just eat her.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up too. Like how I guess I didn't notice that either. Just like how she didn't really take the whole cordyceps seriously. I mean, she knew what it was. She knew what it does to people, but because she's immune to it, like it posed no threat to her. And I guess we talked about this too. Just seeing like if she's really, I don't want to say too relaxed, but like if she's not getting like any sort of character development when it comes to her maturity or when it comes to like taking things more seriously up into like a certain up to like towards the end where she knows that like, oh shit, this is like life and death, like it's not a game no more, because Joel's always there to save her ass. And it seems like in the show they kind of show that more with Pedro Pascal's character, just like how he's kind of more invested in this relationship than she is, because he's the one that's like protecting her. And then you see moments where he even confesses to his brother. He's like, man, I can't, I can't do it. I can't protect her because it makes me think of my daughter. And then, I'm growing attached to her emotionally, and I don't want to see her go, or I don't want to let her go. And it's really, I guess that same reciprocation with Ellie. It's the only time you really see that. It was like at the end or at the part where she heard that Joel was going to let his brother take her to Colorado. And that's pretty much it though. Like I thought that she was going to have more of a like some sort of, I guess, an attachment to Joel, but to be like, oh, hey, Joel, how do you do this? Or, can you teach me this? Because they don't really show that either, how her survival skills and all that.
Yeah, and that's another part that bothered me was I just didn't believe that Joel cared that much about Ellie by the end of the season. Like,
yeah,
you can care for somebody like, oh yeah, I don't want to hurt you, or I'm going to try and save you, but it's a different connection of like, I see you as my daughter, and now I'm willing to kill all these people in this facility, to just save her life. And I didn't get that. I don't know. I couldn't even pinpoint a point where I felt like he did that turn, I mean, saving his life, that's fine. It's one of those things like, okay, there's an attachment there. We're partners, but I didn't feel the son and father and daughter kind of feel, you know. So that's what I was kind of missing from Joel and Ellie.
Not even when after she survived that creepy pastor dude, like not even that.
I mean, okay, so if you look at that, how the beats went, right? So first of all, you know, that fight scene in the game was amazing, and this fight scene in this one was like she hid behind one thing, she waited for him, they tussled, and then she killed him, you know. And it was this whole thing about, you know, sneaking around and throwing stuff to distract him or something like that, and getting the jump on him. And again, you know, that's like they don't want to show us the video game, but sometimes the video game, you know, tells you the kind of actions that you can go about it, and you can still do it that way. You know, they just decided let's just they're in a restaurant, it's burning, he beats her, she kills him, move on, you know. So again, the bullet points, like, let's just do all those bits and then let's go. But like when Joel got her, you know, she wasn't crying or anything like that. He wasn't really consoling. He was just like, hey, you're okay, all right, come on, let's go. And then they walk off into the end of the episode, and you're like, what? And then the next episode, you know, I didn't feel like she was traumatized, you know, because she just killed 2 people. And you know, she met people who ate humans, and I just feel like there should have been an episode there too where she was really traumatized, and that's where Joel could have really, you know, helped her and then got that connection. And I feel like we missed that point because they wanted to show us the giraffes really soon. So that's how I felt.
Any input, Josh, on that? Just on what we spoke about?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's right. Like, there's the passage of time, you know, wasn't quite there between the two of them. And it's, I think it's kind of hard to convey that, but that's the thing, right? Like, the only way I think you could really resolve that is to turn it into 2 seasons. But do we want 2 seasons? I don't know, you know, of that particular timeline or that story. So they're kind of in a rut in that regard, you know. But I mean, I don't think it was anything a couple more episodes could have fixed. I still am on the track of like, just why not just do an even 10? Why 9? It kind of annoys me that they even did 9 to begin with. Like, just go to 10. What was so hard about that? You know, give me 2 20-minute episodes then. Just trick my mind into believing there's 10 episodes. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I can add on that end.
If you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast into different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. Just seeing like how I guess just how they were portraying like the show throughout, you know, like we spoke about how the beginning they were doing really well with the writing, and then they kind of just like slowed down the pacing and kind of just, you know, like Chin said, like gave bullet points, or gave us cutscenes of the more important parts. You know, it's
Right.
like, here you go, here's what happened, this is the big part that happened, and you know, all these little details that could have helped improve the show or showcase more of the world building. They didn't really do that in the first season of the show. And I wanted to touch upon this too, like how Josh said that they could have done this in 2 seasons, because I, for one, did not know that the ending of this season 1 was the whole game, pretty much. Like, it was the whole first part.
Yeah.
So I was surprised to know that, like, whoa, like, so if that's how they ended it, then, you know, what are they gonna do with season 2? Because, you know, there's so much there's important things that's gonna happen in part 2, and with what we got with season 1, it was only what, like nine episodes, not even 10 episodes. So there's a lot to kind of you could have done more with that information or more with the writing to kind of just expand the length of the show, because now that we've seen like this journey, I guess, of Joel and Ellie, that's supposed to be like this world changing or perspective changing moment for both of them, because now we see that at the end Joel lied to her, or lied to Ellie, and then Ellie is convinced. I mean, I don't even think she's convinced, because the way how Bella Ramsey portrayed it, like she's like, all right, I guess, like she wasn't, she didn't believe it.
She says, tell me, Joel, like she needs him to convince her that what he did was the right thing and what he's saying is the truth, because she doesn't believe him and she just needs him to tell her that it's the truth. And
right.
That was the difference. Like in the game, she totally 100% believed him. Like, oh, I guess they don't need me anymore. All right, cool. Whatever, I can go about my life. But she's like, in the show, she's like, I don't think so. But if you say so, okay, I will believe you. So that was a weird take to her. Like, it was so simple at the end of it. You didn't need to put in any other kind of innuendos or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that with how they did just the overall ending too, because I think the episode was shorter usually. Like most of the, I think Josh brought this up too on our last recording, like most season finales or like the ending of the series or season is usually like a longer episode or an extended episode with more details. And I liked that, this change in Joel where he like shot up the hospital and all that, but they made it way too easy. Like he just pointed the gun and bam, bam, like there was no struggle, like nothing, and he just terminated everyone.
And that's what really bothered me, because like that was just because there's gameplay of you going around killing these people. I mean, that's part of that part in the show should have just been the game, because you do in the show he went around killing people, so should have had him hiding behind stuff and people trying to sneak around and him outmaneuvering them. But nope, just walked up slowly, pop, 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 like he was invincible. He was invincible.
Montage.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh, any input on that? Just like kind of, I guess, just towards that. I guess it's like towards that ending, just the way how they kind of slowed everything down up until the finale.
Yeah, I mean, it was all cut up. It was just like a super cut of certain things. I mean, I'm glad that there were some key moments that they kept in, like, especially with oh my gosh, I always forget her name. The leader is it the leader of the Fireflies? The woman at the end?
Oh, not
Chin,
Tess,
help me.
but
Not Tess.
I don't.
Marlene.
You're right.
Yeah. So, like I'm glad that whole interaction that was pretty accurate to things, right at the end. So that was cool. And I did appreciate seeing Ellie's mom, that whole situation.
Oh yeah.
And it being played by Ellie from the game. So that whole generational like kind of trade off, like here you go, here's the baton, Bella Ramsey, you are now Ellie. So I loved all of that, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely like a quick ending, and I just remember going like, of course it's the shortest episode. Episode 1's 90 minutes. Episode 9 is 45. What the hell happened here? Like break it up into 2 episodes. Where's that episode 10?
Yeah, and that's how I felt too, because like when he was like, oh yeah, take him out to the thing, take him out to the road and then let him go. I'm like, okay, maybe he's gonna infiltrate back in for the next episode or whatever. And then as he's walking him down and he shoots him, I'm like, oh no. And he starts going and he starts shooting people. Like, oh no, this cannot be it. This can't be the final fight,
Yeah.
And he goes through and just pop each one. Like, no, man. No, they're going so fast. And honestly, episode 6 was the last time we saw Cordyceps. That was the last time we saw, the anything to do with them. And I'm like, you you needed to have him make one big final comeback and, flood the
Yeah.
place, find some way, they've been hoarding them down here this whole time. And so that's how you get them, that's how you take care of it. You break the lock and they come out, and then all the other people in the building got to shoot them. And then that's when you can infiltrate and pop all the way through, say, whatever, but
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, missed the mark on that too.
Yeah, I forgot there were cordyceps in this show. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing too that I didn't like was like I wanted to see more of that. Like I wanted to see people transition or turn into cordyceps, or like the reason why this is the world that we're in. And we got to see like it kind of turned out to be like Walking Dead a little bit, where you see people versus people, or like different groups versus each other kind of deal. We get that a lot with apocalyptic type shows, but we never get to see them fight more of the monsters or the creatures. And I would like to have seen that more in The Last of Us, especially because with the what we saw with the clickers, and then with what's the big boss called, the bloater.
Bloater, yeah.
Yeah. So I would have liked to have seen more of that.
But see, here's the difference between Walking Dead and The Last of Us. The Walking Dead, you finally ended up fighting people versus people. When Negan showed up, and that was season 6,
Yeah.
and this is just season 1 for Last of Us. So
yeah,
season 1 just needed to give us, a lot more infection than people, and then that's when, because the people are the most dangerous things, and when you bypass the cordyceps in episode 4 or 5, and then now you're just versing all these people, and most of them weren't even bad people. Joel ended up killing all the good people, technically speaking, the Fireflies and the Fed and stuff like that. So it just they needed more time to grow, and we needed more of the cordyceps. That's how I felt.
Any input on that, Josh?
No, he's right. I mean, it would have been nice to have more of it. And I know the creator constantly says this is a drama, that's happening during apocalypse. And it's like, okay, sure. But also like, it's like, so here's an analogy for you, right? Okay. You have a sundae, right? You have some ice cream, you have vanilla ice cream, you have chocolate syrup, whatever your favorite topping is, right? And then there's like 4 other bottles of all these other toppings. You could have like hot fudge, you could have nuts, sprinkles, all that. And you're like, nah. And then you just stick with this sundae. You have all these other ingredients here to make this perfect sundae. Literally within reach. You just have to move your arm like this and squeeze the topping over it. But you decide this is good enough. And I think that's kind of how it was here. Is like we could have had that. They knew that they could have added it in there, but they wanted to go and again, look, let artists be artists, and if they want to do what they want to do, I think that's the best type of art you can make, is for yourself at the end of the day. But like, why not though? Why not have that? And so I mean, Chin's right. The ultimate enemy being each other is very, that is the ultimate enemy. But yeah, like, you got to give us a bit of foreplay, a little quarter play,
But especially being at the first season. I think having them struggle against cordyceps would have been really nice to see. Like if there was, I guess, key parts in each episode, like we ran into more clickers again, or like what is that? Josh, I think you said there was ones that like exploded too. Was that the bloater? Was that one?
Bloater does, yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah, the
explodes
bloater
on people,
is
like
right. You just
The
give them
bloaters
too much
explode,
Pepto-Bismol.
But then there's the brutes. So the brute was the one that we saw.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't think that was the bloater, because the bloater one, he explodes and infects people.
Oh yeah, wait, there's a brute? I thought it was just bloaters and clickers.
No. There's like 4 or 5 different types, and that one there was the first boss. So he was the big boss guy. And,
yeah.
And then the bloater one's the one, the slow. Okay. Yeah, bloater's the big fat one, real slow, and then you shoot him and he blows up and everything.
That's right. Okay.
He's got big, huge like blobs, like sacks of bladder on him, and he explodes.
Well, yeah, because he throws a bunch of shit at you.
Yeah.
But no, the brute. Okay, I was trying to remember where in the game they are, and I remember it. So okay, yeah, that's right, the brute. Yeah, because the bloater, you just feed him some Pepto-Bismol, you're all set. But the brute, Yeah.
It was when
Okay.
you deal with the shotgun and everything.
Yeah, they didn't really do much with the Brute either, though, because he kind of just showed up and killed some of the people in what was the city that they were in, led by that one girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he
he
destroys
just,
Perry.
Yeah, he just destroys, stomps on the people, and then
and
just goes away.
That was cool. I thought we were going to see another one. Nope.
Chin did not know it for sure.
Yeah, I did not. And the worst part is, like, season 1, they finished the game. So does that mean season 2 will be part 2, and then season 3 will be the third one? I guess they're making now. But that means you're just going to have 3 seasons of The Last of Us. And I mean, if HBO and people are okay with it, then I guess so. But they're going to lose out on tons of money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to. Well, it sounds like they're going to take season 2 and make it at least 2 seasons. That's what they were kind of telling us. Is it's at least 2 seasons? So
Yeah, they're gonna have to. I mean, with the way how they ended it too, like so quickly. And then I've seen clips and pieces of the game or part 2 of the game, and without trying to spoil anything, there are key moments in this game that will shock people. So there could be some changes as well. The writers might change up some things, and what if we get like a side series or a spinoff, like where maybe the time between certain characters are being shown versus like going straight into the main storyline, but I think with the way how they did this, man, like I guess just seeing or reviewing it now and getting more time to kind of just like digest the show, and kind of like after the hype of the after it ended, I'm seeing more of like a lot of the small flaws that they had that they could have just at least tweaked up or cleaned up on. But I guess before we do go into our theories for season 2, like I wanted to touch up on like certain moments of the show of season 1 as well, like compared to the game, because I know that, for example, like the whole Sam and Henry part, they kind of tweaked that up a little bit too. They changed it to where was it Sam's the younger one, right? He wasn't deaf in the game, but then in the show they made he was deaf.
Right.
So like they added more of that more realism to, like I guess, so more a different aspect of it to the character. And then that was like a moment in the show where I like too, where you kind of see Ellie kind of change in her character, where she's like, oh man, so you're cut, let me try to help you because I'm immune. She's doing what she thinks is best for this character. And then like, man, when he turns, that part kind of like tore me up a little bit too, just to see like how Henry had to shoot his brother, and then he killed himself right after.
Right. Yeah, that was tough.
I mean, was there, I guess, any comparisons, I guess, from the game or the show that you guys, I guess not so much liked, but like thought it was better? You know what I'm saying? Like what the show portrayed. Did you guys, was there parts where you guys, oh man, the show did this part really well, versus like the way how the game did?
No. As for Henry and Sam, Henry and Sam, they did a good job, but again, they might have gone a little too in depth with trying to figure out why he's hunted, why he's being hunted, which it falls into that category of show us, don't tell us, and that in there you could have had some. You could even done some flashback, to where, it shows why they really are after him, because I'm like, I don't know why the girl's really after him. Did he kill the husband? I mean, if that's the case, then I'd say that'd be pretty cool to show, but it was just more so him giving information. So it wasn't like he gave up information, right? He didn't kill that guy, right? He just gave up information so the other group could kill him, and that's why they want him. So it if you're gonna create a story, have him go all the way, have him be that assassin, have him do that, and then I would be like, okay, you killed somebody, so people want to kill you. But if you just gave up info, on somebody and then they got killed, I think they need to focus on all the other group of people. So to hunt down, this person and everything that badly, it just seemed a little bit too extreme.
Yeah, I think so too. It went a little too far with that. I don't know. I'm very hesitant on like what I like more. And man, I sound like more pessimistic, I think, than the last time. But I think it's just, it is what it is. Like the death angle I did like between Sam and Henry. I did actually dig it. And, for them to be able to find somebody that looks like the kid from the game and, can do that that's pretty cool. I've been trying to like pull it since Chin was talking while he was talking of what I actually liked more. And I don't know, man. Maybe just the pilot. The pilot was strong. The pilot like really blew the game away. So I'd probably say that was what it was for me. And then, scenes within episode 5 with the Henry Sam story that was, with all the clickers, the bloaters, them being able to like replicate the whole sniper scene, like that was badass. So I guess those would be it, overall.
Yeah, all the best scenes are in the beginning. The very first episode, that clicker episode, that's probably the highlight there. I don't know if that. I think that was episode 2.
Yeah, 2 was good.
And then once they were done with 2, then they went to the Bill episode, and then after that, they kind of fell off and like, we did 2 great episodes. Yeah, we got them. Let's just finish this up, guys.
It's like anything to do with a passionate series. Like you can be really passionate about your project, and we've learned this in film school. Like you have to be passionate from point A to point B. You can't like in the middle just be like, all right, well, I did a good enough job. Like you have to be concise all the way through because it shows, and the audience feels it too. They're hyped up, they're ready, and then halfway in, they're like, why is this boring now? Or why do I not feel fulfilled? Why do I not feel like there's good storytelling? Well, it's probably because the writer was like, all right, I got some cool scenes in. I'm done. I did my homework. I did my bare minimum.
Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, I watched it every Sunday. I really did,
Yeah.
But
same.
Somewhere in the middle of the season, there, in the back of my head, I was like, man, it's got to be better than the last episode.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And it's like, all right, great. They come up from the ground. Awesome. Okay, that was a good redeeming point. I think we're on a good move here. And then, it slowly just tapers and gets worse and worse. And then they go to the mall episode. I'm like, all right, the mall episode. I never played this DLC, but I'm pretty sure the DLC didn't have just one quarterstaff guy. I'm pretty sure you fought a huge group of them, and I was like, what? How hard is that? Just running around, running through the mall, instead it's running through one, and you can't fight them off, and then you both get bit. It doesn't make any sense. You couldn't have this huge giant group of them running away from it, and then somewhere they almost escape, and then they get bit. That's fine. But I don't know. I just feel like again that was a safe bet to like, yeah, we're going to focus on the drama, and then one of them's going to show up, and then bite them, and then there you go. Again, just the bullet points.
Yeah, I think before we get onto our theories, I think there was 1 or 2 more points I wanted to touch up on, like how, I guess with the mall episode, that was more so just an Ellie background story, so that they kind of show you what she did, because like I said, I didn't play the game, so seeing this was new to me too. And then when I found out that was DLC, which was I thought that was pretty cool, but I think that could have been more of a flashback, like maybe like towards the finale where when she's explaining it to Joe, like that, this is that the first person I killed or whatever, like she brought it to Joel. They could have done that with the flashback, like that was my friend that I killed. They could have done that versus giving a whole episode dedicated to Ellie and her past. And then I guess one more point I wanted to touch up on was like in episode 2 where Tess gets bit, and then like how the cordyceps like comes out of her mouth, or the infected puts the cordyceps in her mouth, like that. I think that was new, right? That wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
No, that's new. Yeah. That was cool. I'd like that.
Yeah. So like, as we touched up already, just I kind of wish we got to see more of that when it comes to the whole world building of the cordyceps, or like the infected, because this is who they're fighting throughout the show, aside from like the groups of people or like the bosses. This is who Joel and Ellie are running into, because there's a lot of them. So I would have liked to see how Joel would have taught Ellie how to survive, or like, this is how you shoot, this is how you make firewood or make fire. I think Josh, you brought up one time, like you brought up on the last recording, you said that she didn't know how to swim, and that kind of like would have given Ellie some sort of growth, because she didn't know how to do that, and that would almost cost her life.
Yeah, it would have been great for growth, seeing the character development right there for sure.
Were you going to add something, Chin?
Oh, I just wanted to add in one of the things that they omitted. Like, I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it's important. Was there's parts in the game where the whole area is infected with pollen, and they have to wear a mask to get through certain points of it. And I'm like, why would you cut that part out? I mean, that's kind of important. That shows you how dangerous those polyps are. It's not like, hey, let's walk around outside, and you're safe unless you get bit. No, there's like, if you go to a building, it's just covered with spores, and so you have to wear a mask. Otherwise, you're infected, and you get caught that way instead of getting bitten. So that was some of the differences of them not being just the zombie type, So that was kind of a weird thing to where they took that out.
I actually have an answer for the mask thing. It's because they couldn't find any masks to wear because of the pandemic. Everybody took them all. So they we got to do something else, man. We can't even get any prop masks.
No, I think Pedro Pascal just said, hey, people need to see my smolder. So we're not putting a mask on this face.
I'm tired of wearing masks.
yeah, I do that already for the Mandalorian. Let's not do it again for this one,
exactly.
okay?
I know.
No, but that's a good point. I didn't know that that was a part of it too. Like that would have been a really cool way to see how else you can get infected, not just a typical zombie bite.
Oh yeah.
But I guess we can go touch up on our theories now for season 2. I mean, seeing how how Ellie is in this at the end of this first season, and seeing how she may be for season 2, because Bella Ramsey said that it won't drop till 2024, 2025, around there. I mean, I hope she kind of beefs up a little bit. Like, she's got to look more she's got to convince me that she can survive in this apocalyptic world. She's too skinny for me. Like, I don't think she could fight someone like Abby, and that's the thing, because Abby would be the main antagonist for part 2. So she's got to at least look convincing to stand up with Abby.
But the thing is, Ellie was never about meeting somebody physically, by strength. She was always outsmarting people, throwing something to distract and hopping from behind and doing a stealth kill or something like that. But honestly, I think season 2, I hate to say it, I'm sorry, but they kind of put themselves in that predicament. Season 2, gotta be a filler season. Just have them go on adventures and, go do stuff so that we can feel more attached to Ellie and Joel and their connection with each other and father and daughter. Because right now, I don't give a crap what happens, in season 2, how it's supposed to go. I wouldn't care,
Right. It wouldn't feel the same for sure.
Yeah, I think seeing how they ended things, it's just I don't know. I just wasn't convinced. Like, I wanted, I like I said earlier, I think the way how they wrote it, they made it seem like Joel was too invested in this relationship. Like you can tell he didn't want to let Ellie go, versus it had Ellie, had it been the other way around, Ellie would have been like, all right, let's, I'm not convinced Ellie is she feels, I guess, comfortable around Joel. I can't explain it. That it seems like they're just there for each other as partners, but it's not an actual father-daughter-esque relationship.
Yeah, they're father-daughter because the show makes it that way, not because we feel that way. I feel like they're they're supposed to be, so they have this connection.
For example,
and he won't do it,
like how Mando and Grogu, everyone can tell that relationship is pretty solid,
They have a better relationship than Joel and Ellie, okay?
Yeah.
Truth be told. And so, and one of the reasons why part 2, what happens there, impacts us, the gamers, so much, was because we literally waited 10 years to play this game again. And then they threw that curveball at us. And that's what got us, because we're like, oh, finally get this again. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm expecting all these cool things, between it, without being as cryptic as I can, without spoiling too much. And then, bam, they screw me over and they pull the wool over, pull the rug from underneath me. And that's why it works. But if we're going from season 1 to season 2, I'm like, whatever,
Yeah,
it won't matter to me.
That emotional tie is not there, like, because I guess when you play, like Josh said, when you play the game and you're playing these characters, you're invested in them in a way where you're controlling the narrative, you're controlling the story. So you have some sort of attachment with both those characters because you play them in the game, versus when you watch them, you're kind of like trying to re-experience that, but then when they don't portray it in that certain way, it seems like it's really like kind of weak. It's like, all right, like I guess you just kind of put up with it. So Jen, you touched upon the whole it'll be fillers in the first half of, or at least the first part of season 2. Josh, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you think the same as well, or do you think there'll be any changes at all?
The only thing I could think of, if we deviated from what Chin says, is that it could be perhaps one story that kind of follows Ellie for season 2, and then season 3 they go into Abby's perspective. I could see 2 full storylines in that way, or it intersects and they go back and forth every other episode or something like that, some sort of volley back and forth. But I'm with Chin where like, if they're going to do this, they need more time with Joel and Ellie. They need more time together doing things. And hell, maybe there is a really cool adventure or some sort of, situation they run into that could be really interesting to watch. And I mean, I would be on board with that. I'm not quite ready, I think, yet to let go of certain characters yet. I'm just not ready.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The writers will have to. They definitely have a challenge now with the way how they did things, and I think especially with how the gamers are, like that I would say the gamers are the more target audience for this show. I know that a lot of the more mainstream audience, like, they watch it because of Pedro Pascal or because of Bella Ramsey. I think the writers from HBO, or even with the game writers for when they do seasons 2 or possibly 3, hopefully they kind of like catch on to those, I guess, people's reviews or people's opinions on maybe we should touch upon this more, instead of just like, just going all the way through with highlights and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So was there, before we just wrap things up and end things here, was there anything else you guys like to add on about, just The Last of Us season 1?
No, I think I've said my piece. I'm laying it to rest now.
Yeah. No, I mean, hey, they've proven that a TV show can work for a video game concept, and that's an accomplishment in itself. So I think it deserves a little bit of praise, at least in that regard, that, they're giving us a show that I actually want to watch, that I actually can get behind, and not go, oh, what was the point? It's not really laughable anymore. It's more, there's disappointment for certain things, but that's the thing, right? We see the potential of where it could go. So if anything, it's like we just have high expectations. They're giving us high expectations. So I think that's a great thing, where, you watch like Resident Evil and you're like, okay, what the hell's going on here? Or, something like that. It's like, whatever. But this has the potential to be great. And, yeah, so no, I'll be invested in season 2, and then somehow I'll be invested in season 3, and then and I'll deal with their odd numbered episodes. That's fine, whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I like seeing that this gave a really good positive light on just video game adaptations. Because usually people have like a it's a bit bittersweet with video games becoming movies or TV shows, because some people don't follow the actual storyline. They kind of just make it their own adaptation of it. But I do like that they did what they could with this show, and and they stuck with it. But things could be different in the next season. So I hope I'm looking forward to it a lot still. I'm not like discouraged by the show or anything like that. So anyone who's watching or listening, like, we're not saying the show is bad, but we do see the flaws of the show that could have been easily fixed. But I think overall, man, this show was great, especially for people who have not played the game. I thought this was good.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for being on the show again. So hopefully, like I said before, if any viewers or watchers that want to hear or check out that first recording we did, I'll try to do something with it. I don't know if I took down my Patreon, so I don't know if I'll do that again, but maybe sometime in the future when things get flowing for the podcast, I can do that for you guys. But be on the lookout though, because I know after this episode, I have 2 more releasing, and then or 3 more releasing after, and then in May I'll be taking a break. But then after my break or hiatus, I'll have Chin and Josh back on again to do the Bullet Train review, which I promised to do a long time ago. So that I have not. I want to say I haven't forgot about that. That's on the top of my list for reviews because Bullet Train was phenomenal, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Hell yeah. Sounds good. I'm in.
All right. So you guys, this is episode 157. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force Podcast. And make sure you guys follow Josh and Chin on their socials. Josh, how can they follow you and Blueview Cinema?
Just blueviewcinema.com. It's pronounced exactly how it sounds.
Okay, and Chin, how can they follow you in Clean Slate Productions?
Yeah, so you can check us out on our website, cleanslateproductions.net.
Perfect. And I'll have all the links and all that in the show notes and description as well, so you can check out their website and their Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. But yeah, so thank you guys so much. This is episode 157 of Spoiler Force. Thank you guys, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.